Have you ever wondered what it would be like if our modern world just stopped? Imagine one day the internet goes down, international trade halts, and major cities start to burn. It sounds like a movie plot, right? But something just like this actually happened over 3,000 years ago. And it's one of the greatest mysteries in human history. This is the story of the late Bronze Age collapse, a time when civilization literally forgot itself. Let's set the scene. It's around 1250 BCE. The world of the Eastern Mediterranean is a thriving, interconnected network of empires. In Greece, you have the mighty Mycenaeans, the heroes of Homer's Iliad, with their golden masks and massive fortresses. Over in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, the Hittite Empire rules, a military superpower that once fought the Egyptians to a standstill. And speaking of Egypt, the new kingdom is at the peak of its power, with pharaohs like Ramesses the Great building magnificent temples and monuments that still awe us today. These weren't isolated kingdoms. They were part of a vibrant, globalized world. Tin from Afghanistan traveled thousands of miles to be mixed with copper from Cyprus to create bronze, the metal that defined the era. Grain from Egypt fed the armies of the Hittites. Luxurious pottery from Mycenae was found all over the Middle East. It was a complex system of trade, diplomacy, and sometimes war. Kings wrote to each other like brothers, arranging royal marriages and exchanging lavish gifts. It seemed like this golden age would last forever, but it didn't. Around the year 1200 BCE, everything fell apart, and it happened fast. Within a single generation, maybe 50 years or so, this entire world order was wiped off the map. It wasn't just one empire falling, it was all of them all at once. It was a domino effect on a civilization-wide scale. The great palaces of the Mycenaeans in Greece were violently destroyed and abandoned. The mighty Hittite Empire, a regional superpower for centuries, vanished from history so completely that for thousands of years, people thought it was just a myth. In Syria, the prosperous port city of Ugarit was burned to the ground, its trade routes silenced forever. Even the mighty Egyptian empire, though it survived, was severely weakened, losing its foreign territories and retreating into a period of decline. So, what happened? What could cause such a widespread and sudden catastrophe? Historians and archaeologists have been debating this for decades, and the answer is complicated. It wasn't one single thing, but a perfect storm of disasters that hit all at once. One of the most dramatic players in this story are the mysterious Sea Peoples. The name Egyptian records gave to an unknown confederation of seafaring warriors who appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Inscriptions from the time of Pharaoh Ramesses III describe them arriving by sea, setting up camps and rampaging through the lands of the Hittites and the coast of the Levant. An inscription says, "No land could stand before their arms. They were a destructive force, toppling kingdoms and leaving a trail of fire and ruin." But who were they? Were they pirates? Migrants displaced by famine? A coalition of rebels? We still don't know for sure. Their identity remains one of history's most tantalizing puzzles. But the Sea Peoples weren't the only problem. Mother Nature also seems to have turned against the Bronze Age world. Geological evidence points to a series of powerful earthquakes that rocked the region during this period. What some archaeologists call an earthquake storm. We see evidence of toppled walls and destroyed buildings, from Greece to Anatolia, that line up with this time frame. As if that wasn't enough, climate science has revealed another culprit, a prolonged period of severe drought. Ice cores and pollen analysis show that the climate became significantly drier and cooler right around 1200 BC. This would have led to widespread crop failures and famine. Imagine being a king in that era. Your people are starving because the rains haven't come. You can't import food because the trade routes are disrupted by pirates and raiders. Your cities are being shaken apart by earthquakes. What happens next? Your people lose faith in you? And that's exactly what seemed to have occurred. We see evidence of internal rebellions and civil wars breaking out. When kings could no longer guarantee food and security, the social contract broke down. Starving, desperate people likely rose up against their rulers, adding even more chaos to the mix. This breakdown of society had a huge technological impact. The Bronze Age was, of course, named after bronze. But to make bronze, you need both copper and tin was particularly rare. It often had to be imported from as far away as modern-day Afghanistan. When the international trade networks collapsed, the supply of tin dried up. Suddenly, the essential material for tools, armor, and weapons was gone. Armies couldn't equip their soldiers, and farmers couldn't make their tools. This scarcity forced societies to experiment with a new, more readily available metal, iron. The collapse of the Bronze Age directly led to the dawn of the Iron Age. It was a transition born not of invention, but of pure necessity. The archaeological evidence from this period is haunting. At sites like Ugarit, archaeologists have found tablets still in the ovens where they were being baked, suggesting the city's destruction was sudden and unexpected. One of the last letters ever sent from Ugarit was a desperate plea for help from a neighboring king. The letter reads, "My father, behold, the enemy's ships came. My cities were burned, and they did evil things in my country. That help never arrived." We find entire cities burned to the ground, their palaces sacked, their storehouses empty. What followed this collapse was a period often called the Greek Dark Age, but the darkness was felt across the entire region. It lasted for over 300 years. The art of writing was lost in many places. The grand palaces were replaced by small, simple villages. Population numbers plummeted. Complex government, international trade, and monumental art all but vanished. It was as if civilization had to be rebooted, starting from scratch. The knowledge and culture of the great Bronze Age empires were largely forgotten. When we look back at the late Bronze Age collapse, it serves as a powerful and humbling lesson. It shows how fragile even the most advanced and powerful civilizations can be. It wasn't a single villain or a single disaster that brought them down. It was a complex interplay of factors: climate change, mass migration, political instability, systems collapse, and warfare. The system had become so interconnected and so rigid that when one part broke, the whole thing came crashing down. Does any of this sound familiar? A globalized world dependent on complex supply chains, facing climate change, and political tensions? The story of the Bronze Age collapse isn't just ancient history. It's a cautionary tale for our own time. It reminds us that progress isn't always a straight line, and that the world we take for granted can change faster than we can possibly imagine. The mystery is what makes it so captivating. We have pieces of the puzzle, the sea peoples, the earthquakes, the drought, but we may never know the exact sequence of events or which factor was the final straw. It's a stark reminder that even with all our technology, some secrets of the past may remain forever buried in the dust of history. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the greatest mysteries of history. Let me know in the comments what you think was the main cause of the Bronze Age collapse. See you next time.